Welcome back. I'm Vicky. We're outside once again. This is Victoria's Coaching. And if you're new here, quick orientation. We are doing a 6-month self coaching journey for late diagnosed ADHD women. And we just are crossing the threshold into month 3. We have finished the foundational months: nervous system, interoception, the physiological stuff, why your body has been doing what it's been doing. And that was all the groundwork. If you haven't seen those yet, best to start at the start and find the link to the first episode either above or in the description box. Okay. Now we're in what I'm calling the excavation phase, months 3 and 4. We're going layers deeper underneath the patterns, the reactions, the things you keep doing that you swore you were going to stop doing. We are looking at the beliefs that have been running the whole operation without your knowledge or maybe even your consent. I think a really great place to start is with identity. Because here's what I know to be true. Before you can examine a belief, you have to know where it came from so that you can, going forward, choose. And a lot of our beliefs, like all of them, are just descriptions other people handed us that we inevitably started to accept as fact. So today is a storytelling episode. I grew up biracial in North Jersey. My dad's Black, not African American. Black is how he identifies. And my mom is blonde, blue eyed, Irish Catholic woman who, as of one fateful Ancestry.com summer, learned that she was in fact 82% Irish and the other percent is English, which sent her parents into a spiral of denial that I still find objectively hilarious. Obviously, I come from a long line of Shillelagh Club members, so the Irish aspect is a big deal. Her parents rejected this like genetically backed evidence because it contradicted their chosen identity. That's how powerful this stuff is. I mean, the DNA said what it said. They chose differently. I have a whole blog post about this so you can find it. It's in the show notes. And I wrote it when I was 28. But the short version is this: I spent a really long time not particularly fitting in anywhere. Not white enough for the white girls, not Black enough to claim it without feeling like a fraud. Not from a big family where I had to contend with any siblings. Not old enough to hang with the adults that I got along best since, honestly, I was a kid. I rotated through groups in middle and high school like I was auditioning. And eventually I just started letting people assign me an identity because choosing one myself, I don't know, it just felt too expensive probably. I was popular, but always felt like a fraud. Like every aspect of me was a put on, a performance, not necessarily me. And who was that anyway, right? Like looking back, I just accepted these identities. I didn't really fight them. I let them stick. Even my nickname, Vicky. In 6th grade, someone just called me Tricky Vicky, and it stuck. I know you're given nicknames, but just as an example. And there's this moment that I write about in the blog post. I'm on an eco farm outside Hanoi, Vietnam. I'm 27. It's a group meditation situation, the kind where everyone sits in a circle and shares something real as the sun's going down. Okay, you can envision it. And the facilitator asked, "What's your biggest failure?" And I was compelled to speak, yet I couldn't stop crying. Full collapse crying, hyperventilation crying. Very wild for me at the time. And someone just held me from behind so I could get the words out. And what came out of my mouth after all that buildup was, my biggest perceived failure was that I was brown. I did not even know that I was carrying that. I genuinely didn't. It had just been sitting there, heavy, packed down, taking up space. From what I know now at 36, carrying all that subconscious gunk slowly and surely cemented into my body. The muscles, the fascia, the soft tissues that hold onto all our stuff. And inevitably, all that holding can become physical ailment. Nonetheless, the idea that my brownness had cost me something, that it had made me too complicated to belong to anyone or anywhere, clearly that it was at some level I never consciously agreed to a problem, that is what we call a belief. A belief I did not consciously choose, a belief that got handed to me by a thousand small moments in middle school hallways and family that didn't include me and boys who wanted to just be friends because never like that. So I wanted to bring this forward because that was before, well before my ADHD diagnosis, before I had another identity to add to my name. When I got diagnosed at 32, there was an immediate pull. And I get it, I really do, because there is relief in finally having a name for something that's been insidiously making your life harder. You want to claim it now, you want to announce it, you want to add it to the profile so that you are relieved of this burden. And I did for a while. On my myriad profiles, you may have seen Vicky C, PCC, biracial, Capricorn with ADHD. Check, 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 check. Inevitably, something started to feel off about it. The same way it felt off when people in my high school were calling me black, and I knew that wasn't the whole picture. The same way it felt off when my identity was being decided by what I looked like instead of who I was and who I decided to share with people, right? You'll notice if you listen to this show regularly that I very rarely will say things like my ADHD. I might say my adventure with ADHD, or there's a little ADHD in this mix, or I'm going to let the ADHD take control here. Because every single time I say my ADHD with the possessive, I'm doing it again. I'm allowing the label to become the full story. I'm letting a description become the destination. And then that's how people see me. And the more that I identify, which doesn't actually give you the full picture, the more I give other people the raw material to build a story about me that I had no hand in writing. I mean, yes, I do still use many of these descriptors when sharing a bio about me, because now I do choose that these different aspects can support a blueprint of me until you meet or speak with me. But at this point, I have chosen, and that's what I'm talking about. My husband D is an Eastern European immigrant, Montenegrin specifically. And in the Balkans, that's an entire identity with history and culture and layers that would take you weeks to understand. I would know that because his region was actually, interestingly enough, my focus of study for my bachelor's degree well before we met. But in America, he gets filed as white, and that's that. No nuance allowed. Because here's a man who comes from a place with enormous cultural and ethno-religious specificity and diasporas of peoples, and the American system just flattens him. Nope, you're white, next. And he's navigated that since arriving here at 10 years old, just a few days just a few days post 9/11 to New York. And the way that he's navigated, I mean, we talked about it, just further supports this whole notion that this identity thing is structural from the American point of view. We are handed identities repeatedly so that I can label you and I get you. This, by the systems, I mean families, schools, forms that only have 4 boxes, religions. And the question that actually matters, the one we almost never get to sit with, is okay, but what do I actually believe and why do I believe that? Who do I choose to be? Not about who I am to the world, about who am I to myself. That's the work. So here's what I want you to notice as we head into this month. Identity is not just about how you describe yourself to other people. It's the set of rules you've been operating from, the dictates, often without even realizing it. Every time you say, I'm not a morning person, I'm terrible with money, I can't stick to anything, those statements are identity statements. You are purporting who you are. And somewhere at some point, a version of you picked that up and started using it now as a navigation system. Some of those identities were given to you by someone else, a parent, a teacher, a diagnosis, a society, a priest. Some you built them yourself as protection mechanisms. I'm the funny one, so nothing lands like too hard. I'm the capable one, so no one worries about me. I'm the one who doesn't need much, so I never have to ask for support and be let down. I'm the eldest daughter, so of course I'm a martyr. And some of them truly might still be serving you. I'm not here to tell you to blow up everything, right? But I am here to say that you do get to audit the list. Not because your past doesn't matter, not because the things that happened to you didn't shape you, but because you are not required to keep running on software that you didn't install or that is ancient. Pull something out to write with right now. These are your prompts for this upcoming week, whatever week you are in. Firstly, what's an identity you were given that you never actually agreed to? Could be an ethnicity, a role in your family, a diagnosis, a reputation. Just name them. That's all. We're not changing them all. We're just writing them down. Secondly, what belief has been living underneath that particular identity? If you've been carrying, I'm the complicated one, for example, what does complicated mean? You deserve or don't deserve? How does being complicated serve or protect you? Thirdly, if you were going to widen the lens, not replace the identity, just give it more space, what would you add to the picture actually? How would you redefine it? Take your time with these. There's no right or wrong answers. There's no deadline. This is month 3. We are excavating. That's supposed to feel a little slow and a little like digging, probably uncomfortable. So, next week, we're going to start getting into specific belief systems that are most common for late diagnosed ADHD women and where they tend to show up. They are sneaky as hell, dare I say insidious. If this episode hit for you, definitely share it. Leave a review if you're listening on the pod. That would be really awesome. And if nothing else, check in next week, homies.